what I wanted to do today is really shine a light on what investors really, really think. As startup founders looking for funding, you'll submit a deck. Sometimes that'll be by a form, by an email, however you do it. And sometimes you'll hear back. Not for us, you're too early, outside of our thesis. Sometimes you'll get fairly detailed feedback back from the investor. And if you're not getting a yes, no, and here's why, is something really, really helpful. But what you won't get is the raw, unfiltered thought process. And what an investor thinks as a natural human reaction, because most investors are actually human despite their rep, that can often describe how you get a response, if you get a response at all. And I'm talking about everything from how they're emotionally feeling that day, whether the dog's been up in the night, or they've got issues, or they've got 3 board meetings that day, and you're one of 82 different emails that hit their inbox, to is the deck right? Does it look good? Does it feel good? Is it answering the right questions? Is it for us? And that's what I'm really trying to shine a light on today, to really give you as founders an insight into how those investors think. Now, why me? Why is it me that stepped up to the plate and doing this? Well, I spend my day raising money for startups from all over the world, from investors all over the world. And I've done deals just this year in the US, in Israel, in Copenhagen. Still don't know how those deals happen in Copenhagen, but they're great. And also right across the UK. And I spend my time, dozens of investors each and every week, direct calls, emails, Discord, Slack, whatever you call it. And investors, they're angel syndicates, the syndicate leads, and they're VCs. So what I want to try and do is kind of generalize for that entire cohort of investors, because when you get feedback from an investor, very often it's colored by their view, their lens, how they're seeing the world, what their thesis is, what else they've got on, pressure to deploy capital. So I want to try and, rather than look at it through a single investor's lens, to try and do that for a larger set of investors. And I'm going to think out loud. That's the plan. I'm going to try and be raw. I'm going to literally try and share the emotions of what I see. And I'm going to be as raw as I dare, and whoever dares wins. Just final bit of logistics. No fire alarms are scheduled. So if you hear one, it's not me, it's you. And I fully advise you to move urgently to your nearest fire exit. Okay. So before I kick into the first deck, let me kind of give you the background thoughts as to the kind of things that investors are looking for. In no particular order. First of all, if you're sharing me a deck, sounds obvious, make sure I have access to the deck. I can't tell you the number of times that people share a deck with me and with investors where I have to click on request access, because you've got my attention now. Don't make me go and do this. Now, it's interesting. I've had over, I think it's like 43 applications and decks that were submitted for me to kind of run through this morning. 10 to 12, I had to go and, the link was there, clicked on the link, request access. That's a big, big no-no, because you're literally putting a point of friction in the process, and I've probably lost interest by that stage. So never do that. So things I look for. What is it you're actually doing? Please tell me. Simple English language without using woolly or nonsense words. Tell me what it is you do on the front page. You have seconds before I lose interest. Make sure you grab my interest. Talk to me about your benefits and why should I or your customer care. I want to know how big this can actually get. How big can the business get? Now, most founding decks will talk about market size. They'll almost all get it wrong. But even when they get it right, the market size is not the exam question that would be being asked. It's, if I'm giving you 500, so I'm giving you 1 million, if I'm giving you 2 million, how does that turn into 10x, 20x return for me as an investor? Chris Topman is a really, really good friend, one of my Manchester Angels, but also the managing partner of Notion Capital. It's a recent podcast, which was fabulous. He set up Message Labs. They were the first cloud-based anti-spam business. And they set a bell on the code base that when they detected an email with a virus built in, so antivirus business, when they detected an email with a virus built in, a bell went. When they turned this on day one, within 10 minutes, there was a constant high-pitched shriek. Not a single bell, constant high-pitched shriek. And they knew at that point that was big. This was going to be a really big business because this was a problem, a painkiller problem that was really, really big. So that's what I want to see as investors. How big can this business get? Because I want to know how I'm going to return the money to my investors. What makes your team stand out? Why are you the guys to do this? Why now? What's the big, fat, hairy earth change in the world that means now is the time for you to do the thing you want to do? Who are you selling to? Who is your customer? How do you make money? What traction do you have? Traction is important to me because it validates your hypothesis. You have a certain hypothesis as a startup. I want to know what the hypothesis is and what you have done to validate that your hypothesis actually holds true in the real world. And that could be user numbers. Revenue numbers is the main proxy very often, and then the type of revenue as well that you do, etc., etc. So that's really, really important. I want to know the ask. How much are you asking for? What you're going to use it for in detail, and where you'll be. And I don't mean 18 months runway, 24 months runway. That's the worst thing I want to see, because that just gives you time to do a thing. I want to know what commercial milestones you'll be at, how many customers you'll have, what revenue you'll be at, what geography you'll be in, etc. And finally, and often this isn't answered in the deck, but answered actually in the original email, or the cold email, is why this investor? What is it about me as an investor that I should be interested? What's the compelling reason? Show me you've done your homework and done a bit of research. But what I'm going to do, Dan, is I'm going to go through your deck. I'm going to think out loud. I'm going to do it raw. I'm going to share my emotions. I'll be direct, as Dan, you know me to be, because we know each other very, very well. And then at the end, I'm going to ask you to comment. So here it comes, guys. It's raw. Aesthetically, like the aesthetics, it is important to get aesthetics right. Linky thinks, okay, know what your company's called, nice lifestyle picture. Empowering future-ready children. I hate the word empower. I'm sorry. I don't know what it means. Okay, so when I look at this, obviously it's an ed tech business. I can make that clear. I know you're raising $1 million. That's great. EIS, that's great. It's a fresh deck because it has the word September on it. That's important, right? But I don't know what empower means. I still don't really know what it is you do. So just get rid of the word empower, because it just tells me absolutely nothing. I'm looking at the top of the screen. I've got 12 pages. Okay, it's not bad. It's not terrible, but probably a bit too much. Okay, so the problem. The value of human-centric skills with advancement in automation, same time skills and skills. Okay, so kind of get the problem, but it's kind of missing numbers. So I like numbers, so there's obviously there is a skills gap between school and world of work, but what does that do, right? There are millions of children. How many children? Where are they? What does the gap really look like? But it's not bad, okay? Not really sure what the lifestyle pictures are doing. They're pretty, but okay. I do like the aesthetics. It doesn't really tell me in detail what the problem is, but it's not terrible. But I've got a problem. Now I've got a solution. Linky thinks downloadables. Okay, so these are PDFs. I'm looking at left. Okay, so I download stuff. First digital learning platform that caters to the needs of teachers and pupils simultaneously. So here's where my brain's going. Downloadables sounds to me, I go to a website, I pay for a thing, and I download it as a PDF. But I don't know who I am, or more accurately, I don't know who your customer is. Am I a pupil? Am I a teacher? Am I a school? I'm not sure, but okay. But it's a downloadable, so I kind of get it. But then I'm looking at a digital platform. Now, downloadable to me means I go onto a platform, I download something, and then I can leave the platform behind. Whereas in my head, in my view, a platform is something that I'm constantly engaging with. Maybe it's marking my work if I'm a student. Maybe it's helping me plan lessons, manage my timetable, manage my content. That's what I see as a platform. So I'm not sure downloadables and platform gels too much. But okay, sorry. So it caters to the needs of. Yeah, I think you can be sharper on the language, right? So it caters to the needs of. Just again, to just be more simple. Just say it's a digital learning platform that serves the needs or for teachers and pupils. But then tell me what it is you do, right? Now, I hate the word first. If you are putting the word first or only on a deck, you are absolutely setting yourself up for a fall, because I guarantee you are not the first. And even if you are the first, as an investor, I have seen many, many more of these things than you have. And you're not the first, and I doubt you're the first, and you're certainly not the only. So never, never, never use the word first, and never, never use the word only. And even if in the odd occasion you are the first, that's not necessarily a good thing, because maybe you're first because you have to teach, you have to educate your market, your customers, as to why you are a thing, why you're doing a thing. Michael Dell always used to say he loved to be first, to be second. He let somebody else come in and make the market. So yeah, don't use first, don't use only. It teaches the vital skills children will need to navigate the evolving adult world alongside curriculum topics. It's a bit wandery aroundy in the prose and the language here. I think you can be a lot tighter. So as an investor, I'm thinking, I'm engaging my brain more to figure out the gaps in what you have not told me, which is not something I like to do. I like to be kind of told. So I'm doing a lot of figuring out here as to what it is you actually do. Maybe if you're saying it's a platform, you give me a screenshot of the platform. I do like the screenshot of the downloadables because it's clear, but I'm not quite getting it yet. But I am definitely interested because it's a nicely well put together deck and thought together deck. So I've not clicked delete yet, Dan. You'll be glad to know. Competition. Okay, so this is a really, really hard slide to get right because as a founder, you feel the need to tell me about your competition. And as an investor, I want you to tell me about your competition. But in reality, we all know this slide is a bunch of nonsense because this is your view of the world. This is how you view. And of course, you've done this in a very different way, Dan, which is you've put you put linky things at the middle of a bunch of intersecting Venn diagrams. Most of the time it's a quadrant or it's a matrix, but it's always the same, right? If you're doing a quadrant, the company is always in the top right and everyone else is bundling around the middle or elsewhere, right? And then it's a matrix. Your green ticks are many more for you and less for your competition. The reality is this slide is so hard because you're hiding the granularity and you are not aware of, nor are you expected to aware of the granularity of what other competitors do because you've not necessarily used them in anger. You're not necessarily focused on their roadmap or have insight to their roadmap. So this is a really hard slide to get right. But as I look at this, I'm thinking most of these products amplify or accommodate for the education sector. I don't really know what that means, if I'm honest with you. Amplify or accommodate for the education sector's problem. Maybe it's me, but I don't really get what that first sentence means. Linky thinks stands alone. Don't say that. Just say Linky thinks does a thing. It integrates life skills learning alongside curricula, particularly to capture a significant market share. Yeah, I don't think this slide tells me a lot, if I'm honest with you. It basically tells me there are a bunch of people doing stuff, right? Collins and Twinkle and Montessori and Kids Coach App. And I'm sure there's Pearson View in there. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different people doing a whole bunch of different stuff, right? EdTech is hard. There are loads of people doing this. So this slide doesn't really tell me a great deal. It doesn't really do a lot for me. And I probably would flick through it and not give it more than about 3 seconds. And the only thing I'll take from this is there are a bunch of people. Just on this slide and the previous slide, why don't you tell me that you'll help me pass exams? Why don't you tell me you'll improve the outcome, the student outcome in my GCSEs or my SATs or my A-levels or whatever it is, or you'll make it easier for me as a teacher, quicker to prepare lessons. And by the way, and this is how my squirrel brain thinks. I'm going back and forth and stuff I've already thought, and I think most investors will do the same. I'm probably going back and forth in my mind and thinking, so does that help me do exam markings? And who's creating the content? So linkables, downloadables, somebody is going and creating the content. Is it other teachers? So if I was a teacher, is this like a Canva, maybe, for teachers where I, as an experienced teacher, would love to share some material that I've made and monetize it and sell that to other teachers and best practice. As a teacher, maybe I'm doing part-time, I've retired, or I'm off on mat leave or pat leave, and I want to side hustle and creating really good, high quality downloadable content. Or are you guys doing it? And maybe you'll address that later on. But that's just where my brain is thinking. And I think, a lot of investors' brains don't necessarily think in a pure linear fashion, that you told me a thing and I'm going to think about a thing and read a thing and a thing and a thing. My brain will kind of float back to something else. Maybe I'll jump back to a different slide. Okay, so team slide. So the exam answer on a slide like this is, why are you the team? Why are you the guys to do this? What have you achieved before that tells me? Now, this is probably a really good slide compared to a lot of slides I see. So I've got pretty pictures. Yeah, Dan's had his hair done that day. That's lovely. Great slide, showing pretty pictures, but much, much, much more importantly, you are telling me of the team who is doing what and why they're important. So what I'm getting from here is you have experienced educators who are presumably creating and curating content. So Victoria, she's a teacher. You've got Federico, he's a teacher. You've got Johnny Manning, he's a teacher. You got Alex, Dan, the two brothers there. You guys have, you've got the visual aspect there. Alex is a, creative director. Dan, you built business, you're a public speaker, broadcaster. Not really sure why that's a thing in this. I suppose it has some skill, but okay. I think overall, I very much like the fact that you've scaled a business, right? That's really important. So here I've got real domain expertise in education. That's clear, like that. I've got somebody who's got some visual acumen here, design acumen. That's important, I think, in this type of business, because I'm sure visuals are really important. So that's great. And I've got you, Dan, and some other experience sprinkled here of people who have built a business. That's really great. I'm probably missing somebody technical, right? Maybe Dan he's kind of more CRO and growth, but I'm missing somebody technical. I think I'd like to see somebody technical. This is a platform. You told me it's a platform. How are you going to grow and scale the technology to do this? I think I'd like to see here, but excuse me. I like this, right? I think this is a good slide. Where I see this done really poorly elsewhere is people just show their pretty faces, maybe tell me their roles, and I don't know what it is that's good about them. What is their experience? What have they done? What have they delivered before? What have they grown before? What have they failed at before? That makes me think they're the team to do this. And really bad practicing elsewhere is you show me the whole team. Yeah, I don't care what the receptionist does from an investment tech perspective. I just need the core team. I'm out trying to figure out, why are you the guys? Why are you the people? And again, what you're trying to do when you send me this deck is to get me to agree as an investor, to get on a call with you. That's all. If your teaser deck, this first deck, this initial cold email, if it gets me on a call and I'm the right type of investor for you, even if I don't actually invest, then that's mission accomplished. So this is a good slide on team. It's also in the right place, right? Because you've already told me about what the company is, what it does, etc. This is a good slide, right? So this is in the wrong place, right? So now I get downloadables. So in the back of my head, I've been thinking about what downloadables are whilst I've been trying to get through the rest of the thing. And now you're telling me what downloadables are, which is, it might be great when I look at this properly, but tell me earlier on, maybe like as soon as you mention downloadables, tell me what they are, because if you mention it, tell me what it is. Don't leave me to try and think it through. So this is in the wrong place, but let's look at the slide itself. So lots of text, listen about covering and eat right, you can to teach, not just test and use. Okay. You need to reserve the worksheets, so they're PDFs, I presume, right? A free user can access. So so you're telling me about the business model in a bit too much detail on what downloadables are. So just tell me what downloadables are. I want to know, right? You got me hooked earlier on. My brain's been squirreling away trying to figure out what downloadables actually are throughout this kind of thought process. Now you're telling me, which is great, but now you're also distracting me by telling me about a level of detail I probably don't even need to know on the deck as to, that a free user has 5 resources, free access across various topics, and they can pay for more. So you can address that in a different slide, but probably even a level of detail I don't need to know for a deck, because now my brain's squirreling off into the business model. And so, yeah, you're just not confusing me, you're distracting me. But I like the pictures of this. Access AI supporters. Tell you what, so I've seen AI powered, right? And by the way, every deck will say AI. So if you're ever using AI, just tell me what you're doing. AI supported, future feature. Yeah, don't put that there because it's just distracting, right? Just tell me what it is you do. And if, this is a teaser deck whose point is to get me on the call. So if there are shades of gray, just tell me it's black and white. If it's an 8 out of 10, just call it 10 out of 10. Hide granularity and hide subtlety at the first level of deck. And then when you tell me about a future feature, just don't do that here, and don't tell me about features, tell me about benefits. So access AI categorized and personalized content adapted to varying people with built-in requirements, updated monthly. Again, don't tell me here it's distractions, level of detail I need to know. So I like the bottom left. It shows me it's nice. It's download, print, present, learning resources. Yeah, I like that. That align with curriculum topics and teach essential life skills. Okay, it's cool. Gives you more time. I mean, I've got 4 kids, right? And my eldest is at university, and my youngest is today starting in year 9 for the GCSE results. I care about as a parent. I care about having a balanced, refined, hardworking, nice kid who does well at their academic performance according to their level. So my academic kids, I want to do well academically. My non-academic kids, I want to do as well as they possibly can do. And maybe the messaging should be really aligned to that, right? So I don't just want my kids taught the curriculum. I want them to achieve their best. So as an investor who probably has kids as well, maybe I'm thinking of it like that. And that's the great thing about a deck like this. I can relate to this because I'm probably a parent. And so I think I'd probably be tighter around what the achievements of what me as an audience, an investor audience wants to see, which is besides growing a big business, which I'm sure we'll come to, it's about being more tighter onto those learning objectives. But at least now I understand what downloadables really are, even though there's some distractions here. Social proof is always great. There's a person I work with on my LinkedIn who hopefully is on the webinar called Chicky Peter. She talks a lot about social proof in the amazing stuff that she does. So this works really, really well. What I'd love, and maybe you are far too early, is empirical data of downloadables has helped us overachieve as a school or achieve greater results or hit our SAT target, whatever. Empirical data, if you have it, is really good and will be great. Business model, leaving existing network. So leaving existing network, that's your go-to market, right? So how are we going to target our network? So I'm assuming, and I've kind of read between the lines before, that your customers are parents and teachers as well as schools. What's a MAT? I don't know what a MAT is, right? Tell me what your MAT is. What a MAT is, don't know, no idea. So also, I don't know what countries you're targeting for this, right? You should be targeting the whole wide world. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you're targeting the world and assume you're starting off in the UK because you're based in the UK. But I don't know what a MAT is. Your business model, you tell me how your go-to-market is. So you've got an existing network, which is fine, but tell me what your existing network is. How do you get it? What's your superpower? What's your distribution superpower? Very often, investors will look at this and think, well, if you've built a previous business before time, which you said you have, is that in the educational world? Do you have an existing network? What's that look like? How do you access it? What's your marketing strategy going to be like? What's your customer acquisition strategy going to be like? Who are your customers? Who's going to pay for it? Who are your users? Are your users different from your customers? So if the school is my customer, i.e. they're signing the check, but their teachers are paying for this, okay, if it's teachers who are creating their own content and monetizing that, make that clear. So you've got business model and go-to-market in one. You're not being explicit. You're not telling me what your existing network is. You tell me pricing. Okay, this is your hypothesis, I'll presume, because you're not giving me any more data, right? I don't know yet what traction you have had. So you're giving me hypothesis. We have an hypothesis that this is the business model that will work, right? But then tell me how you're going to build a really big business out the back of this business model. And now I see that a MAT is a multi-academic trust because I looked at the bottom right on the left-hand side, but you told me what a MAT is in just the word MAT on the writing. So I think just be a bit tighter in the first time you mention a MAT, just be clear what that's multi-academic academy trust. It's not bad. It's not telling me a huge amount. It's basically you're telling me you're doing some free. Parents are paying, teachers are paying, schools are paying. What this also telling me in my squirrel brain is you're trying to do B2C and B2B at the same time. That's really hard. That's hard. And investors don't like that. The skill set, the sales, the business development, the go-to-market, the sales muscles that you are building for B2B is very, very different from the same muscles you're building B2C. So that's really, really hard. So I would always advise you pick B2B, you pick B2C, you smash it, and then you move to a different market. So just be aware. That's my brain thinking, oh, I'm not so sure about B2B and B2C at the same time, which I'm presuming you're doing at the same time because you're targeting schools, you're targeting teachers. Schools are B2B, teachers and parents, and even your free customers you're trying to acquire because you want to convert them to paid, that's B2C, right? So B2B, B2C, that's hard. Don't do that at the same time. Traction, like it, good, just great. So this is a great slide. My initial thoughts, it's cartoony, it appeals to my good aesthetic. I like the aesthetics, like the design, attention to detail, and you're telling me the important stuff. So you have launched, right? So you launched in January 24. Your user numbers are growing weekly with a high conversion rate. Tell me what the numbers are, which you've done on the bottom left. Strong market validation. I think it's a subjective thing, strong market validation. So you've got 2,500 users, 20K ARR, 60% of teachers of your user base are teachers. You've got, I'm not sure, conversion rate. Conversion rate is view to download. I'm not sure how many are paid. So this is not a bad slide at all. And it's telling me that you've got something, whether it's strong market, but you do have something here. Yeah. So I like this. You at the very least have indications of product market fit. And I like the fact you spent nothing and completely bootstrapped, right? So this is a good slide. I like the slide. This is telling me enough. This is probably enough to get me on the call combined with everything else. So I would say mission accomplished on this one. So this is a good slide. I like the slide. Pretty, tells a good story, tells it what I need to know. And also, by the way, as an investor, I'm probably not spending anywhere near this time on the first deck. I'm giving you 3 minutes. So I'll be all my thoughts are going at, much quicker through this at speed. Anyway, roadmap. So roadmaps, that feature roadmaps, that benefit roadmaps, that product roadmap. Right, so here's what I don't like about this. Downloadables has already become our fast-selling product line. Product line. Wait, does that mean you are selling other things? What are those other things? Are you selling baked beans? Are you selling other products, other SaaS products, software products? Are you selling services? As an investor, I hate service businesses combined with software businesses, or I don't hate them, but your unit economics are very, very different for a service business. So all of a sudden, I'm liking everything, and then You've used the word product line. This is maybe my personal bias as my particular investor outlook, but that's okay. That's throwing a spanner into the works, right? Product line. What else are you doing? And will dwarf all other operators. Do you have a factory? Are you selling other stuff? Yeah, that's thrown me a bit. I'm being honest with you here. Go-to-market strategies focus on. So if you tell me roadmap, tell me roadmap. But what type of roadmap? Is it product roadmap? And I can talk to you for hours on what a product roadmap should look like. And the answer is you shouldn't, right? Because you should be iterative, you should be agile, you should be, launching something quick, putting it into hands of customers, into users, learning from their behavioral insights, and then pivoting, iterating, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not a fan of roadmap, but you are giving me a roadmap. You're throwing a spanner into the works. You're also talking about go-to-market strategies, which should be a separate deck. And all you're saying is it's not a lot, really bland. Our go-to-market is we're going to use email, we're going to use social media, we're going to use digital marketing, varying depending on target. I mean, no Sherlock, right? How else would you do it? So no, just be far more detailed, right? Chris Topman does a lot of really great work on go-to-market. I follow him and follow his content because he's written the playbook. He's written the book, literally the book on it, right? The B2B SaaS playbook. But no, this tells me nothing. So no, don't like this. And your revenue, there's no detail here, right? So that's not telling me a lot. And I get it. Look, I put a video up earlier this week on a Brian Clough, who's a famous football manager back in the 80s. He was a football genius, which he needed to be to get Nottingham Forest to win anything. But he said, we're the best team on paper. Unfortunately, our team wasn't playing on paper. It was playing on grass. And that's the problem when you're doing these kind of revenue projections. We all want one, and you all are going to put it down and answer the exam question. But that's not how the world is going to turn out, right? You're putting together typically best case scenarios and how you think the world's going to be, but you're not actually playing on paper, you're playing on grass. So this doesn't tell me, I'd kill the slide, right? I'd kill the slide if I was you. And don't give me that level of detail about earnings before taxes, okay? Market, right. I'm going to speed up even though this is super, super important. The education sector, okay, you are doing literally what everybody does for the most part on the right, which is you are doing a top-down market analysis because you're quoting me a big fat hairy arse number, and then you're trying to bring that down. So you tell me how big the education market is, but I don't want to know that. I want to know how big your business can get, right? And that is the mistake you are making that everyone else is making, right? Which is, I want a bottom-up market sizing analysis, which you have done really well on the left-hand side, right? But presumably that's UK, right? Is that UK? Oh, no, it's UK, Ireland, Canada. So, okay, good. So, okay, now, so the left-hand, so dump the right-hand side. It's a pile of poo, Dan. The left-hand side is great, right? You're telling me that there are 94% of school teachers, but 94% of school teachers say what? You are targeting 94% of teachers. All right, kind of, actually. So the way you do this is tell me who your customers are, which are schools, teachers, parents. Refer back to my previous comment, B2B and B2C. How much you're going to charge them, right? So the number of customers by how much you're going to charge them is how big. That's your TAM, and your SAM is, so that's your global TAM. Your SAM might be your UK, Ireland, Canada. So that's a good segmentation strategy. You're going for English-speaking countries, presumably with relatively comparable curricula, I presume. So that's where that's good adoption of digital technology. So that's your segmentation strategy, and then you should be giving me a single-digit share of that market as your sum. So I think get rid of the right. On the left-hand side, okay, quite good, but you're kind of 80% there, but you're not 100% there. I want to know, and this is the biggest mistake I see founders making, is you're telling me the market you are in, you are not telling me how big your business can get. And what you should be telling me is, if I'm putting in 500 grand, £1 million, how am I turning that into 20 million, to 10 million that I can return back to my investors? That's really the exam question, which you're not yet answering here, but not bad, but there's still some way to go on this. You can kind of get away with this, Dan, anyway, because as an investor, I get that you are targeting a big market, education market. Right, good. So the ask, you tell me how much you're raising. Fine. You tell me what you're using it for, which is good. So I'm going to present, and then there, I will spend, or you will spend, 7% of that on tech, 30% reach, so you're operational. Okay, fine. So this is quite good. Maybe you can articulate the roles that you're looking for in a more detailed deck. You might be able to share, and we've identified the key people who want to join us. They've agreed to join us once we get the raise. That's always goes down really well. But you're telling me how much you're raising. Great. You're telling me what you're spending on reasonably, but you're not telling me where you will be. Right? I want to know how much you spent, how much you're raising, what you're going to spend on, and what commercial milestone, not how much runway I'll buy you, what commercial milestone you will have when you are done with this. So, you'll be at, I don't know, 600,000 ARR, you'll be live in 2 countries, you'll have X number of schools, teachers, parents on board. That's what I really want to know. This investment will help us give means to access to social mobility. So, I'm sorry, this is a nonsense paragraph. It doesn't tell me anything, right? Because you previously told me, or at least I've assumed, this is about helping schools and teachers hit their objectives around good achievement in grades and SATs and GCSEs and A-levels and equivalent schemes across the world. It's about life skills, social mobility. That's not come up before. And that is important as a human. To me, that's important. But as an investor, not sure how that helps me make my returns. Funding career opportunities, it's nice, it's good, social impact, but not telling me how that is fulfilling my returns. And the re-professionalization, so that's a new benefit. What does that even mean? And why towards the end of the deck? That's what we have. I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to give you just 2 or 3 minutes to come in and just tell me if you forgive me for roasting your deck in front of the whole wide world.
There's nothing to forgive. I'm very grateful. You've said some things I'm aware of, others that I wasn't aware of that all have value. I've made notes on your comments, and obviously we'll have a recording of this, but I can't. There's the biggest glaring issue I'm having with this is that I've not communicated our purpose properly enough in the storyline of this deck. So the fact that you've come away from this thinking that we are focusing on assessments and adhering to the curriculum is a problem, because the whole point of what we're trying to do is have something that no schools are doing, which is life skills enrichment, but fitting it in with the extremely rigid curriculum. So the test passing thing is like the sideline, the life skills is the primary focus, and I've not communicated that properly. Obviously misplacing certain things at different points, like having social impact at the very end, very, very important. I've got no complaints about this at all. This has been extremely valuable. I think I can come away from this and create a deck that will achieve my objectives better.
Awesome. So the final point to you is, I would say, you mentioned the word purpose. You're sending an investment deck. The sole purpose should be to get investment. The way you do that is by clearly articulating how you will turn their £1 million into £10 million for them. Mm-hmm. That's your sole purpose. So that's what I'd say. The mission, would I, as an investor, get on a call with you? Yes, I would. I think there's enough there, but there's still quite a bit of room to go there. All right.
Thank you very much.
So Dan, thank you for being the first, right? Being the first one out. It's always great, and wishing you the very best of luck.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
So WAC is the number one. So I don't know if you were with me, George, on the last one, but my brain goes like this. Don't tell me you're first. Don't tell me you're only. Don't tell me you're number one. First of all, it adds absolutely no value whatsoever. Secondly, based on what? Based on revenue, based on, don't tell me you're number one. It just takes away, and I'm already thinking, oh, really? So don't do that. But so it is an app for hourly paid workers who want to take charge of their work life and finances. So I like the fact that it's for hourly. I know who your customers are. Bang, straight away. That's great. Who want to take charge of their work life and finances. I don't really know what that means. What does, generally, I don't really know what that means to take charge. So I want to know how much you're being paid every month. I want to know what shifts I've got, whatever it might be that you'll tell me about. yeah, you just need to be a bit tighter. So take charge of their work life and finances. Not sure. Be a bit tighter on that, I think. Okay. Meet the founder. This is important, but not here, not now, because I don't really know what it is you're doing yet, right? So this comes later on. So I'm not sure whether as an investor, I'm thinking I'll probably skip this and come back to it, which is annoying because I want to know what you're doing first, right? Store something fantasy, quit hourly pay work, trade in local, start whacking. Okay, so that's kind of important. I kind of get that, and I get why you're kind of telling me that, but it just doesn't fit here. Is I'm thinking, and the word peace of mind again, not really sure what that does. But what I want to know when we come onto the team or the founder is why you, what have you done? So you were telling me good things here, right? You did a really interesting thing. You went into law, right? You were fed up with life, how to accept. Not sure how you. I know I do know that because you're hourly paid work. So tell me all that. But I want to know, what have you done to build a business, to build a tech product? Have you got people around you? You've got founder market fit in terms of you understand the problem. You used to be paid on an hourly basis and you experienced that chaos. Tell me that later on. That really goes under why you. Why are you the right person to do this? Because when I've met you, right? So in person, you're fab, and on the call, you're fab, and it's great, and you're articulate and engaging and all the right stuff. But you're not here. You've landed in my inbox, and I don't know you. And your job with this deck and this email is to get me to get on the call. So don't put that slide here. It's telling me some of the stuff, but not all the stuff, and it's in the wrong place. I hate the word mission. Doesn't tell me anything, right? Just tell me what it is you do. And on the first slide, right? So so this language isn't really tight enough. So I hate the word empowering. So as an investor, I'm like, I don't know what that means. And my brain is kind of filling in a lot of the gaps here. So I get what you do, but it's my brain that's getting what you do, I think. So I think you're some type of app for hourly paid workers that probably helps you understand when you're getting paid. Maybe you're able to draw it down earlier. Maybe it just, if I've maybe got 3 or 4 different shifts at 2 or 3 different gig places, hourly gig places, and maybe it's helped me keep track of all that. That's what. So really simple answer, really simple language that's clear about what it is that you actually do should be in here. That, this empowering doesn't tell me that. Break free from disorganization. Kind of, does tell me that, I'll be honest, but you could just say it so much more simpler and feel good about money. Okay, not sure what that tells me. So I think this should be on your very first slide, but a lot tighter. So this is good, I like this. Right, you're telling me, but so 45% of how many hourly paid workers are there globally? Right, because that gives me a sense of the size of the problem, even though that's kind of top-down market sizing. But if you're telling me that the 45% of hourly paid are being underpaid of 20,000, so that's that you have surveyed, but tell me how many there are in the world, right? That's helpful and that's really good, right? So you're solving, the message I'm getting from here is you're solving a big problem. Why is it a big problem? Because there's untrustworthy systems. You're right. I would say here, so I like this. This is a good slide. I think this could be better by saying our customers. Yeah, I don't actually know who your customers are, by the way. This is what I'm showing you my raw squirrel brain, right? I'm thinking, so are your customers the businesses or are your customers the workers, right? Or maybe it's both. Previous comment about not doing B2B and B2C at the same time. But okay, so I would probably say you could be tired on some of the language here, but this does tell me what you're doing. What would be really, really smart here is saying our customers, whoever they are already trying to solve this problem. And they're using spreadsheets, and they're using Slack, and they're using email, and they're using WhatsApp, and they're using Snap, and they're using backup fag packets, and they're using post-it notes to solve the problem. So we're not educating our customers of a problem they don't know they have. They're really trying to solve the problem. We do it much better. That would be really great. Really, really great. I closed a deal in Copenhagen earlier this year with a B2B returns company, software returns company. And they solved a problem that their customers, retailers, were already solving using spreadsheets, email, Slack, and WhatsApp. And they did it better. That I think would be really smart. So this is a good slide. This slide will have me thinking this is a good problem to solve. It's a big problem to solve. You articulated it well, but actually you could do it that little bit better by just saying our customers are already solving the problem using email, Slack, Snapchat, whatever, and we're doing it a lot better. So, okay, what I love about this slide, this is great. I love screenshots. Yes, screenshots of what you're doing. This works really well for me. I'm thinking maybe I don't know yet if it's an MVP. I don't know your traction, but I can see what it is you're doing. It now makes sense to me a lot more. So this is now telling me, by the way, maybe I'll put such a good screenshot. I might put it on the slide, like the very, very first slide, because you know what it tells me? It tells me, you're telling me what my live payslip estimate is. Although just because I'm a bit annoying when it comes to detail, stick some hours and stick some net pay in there, right? And so stick some numbers in your records just to make it a bit more richer, right? I would stick this in your very, very front slide because actually it tells me so much within a millisecond that I put it on slide one. What I wouldn't do, and this is David Levine bias here, this is not necessarily all investors. I don't like clicking out to videos. I'm an annoying git. When people send me videos, I never ever watch them, right? So, but I would definitely still leave it in there, right? Just because everyone is not like me. But why whack? Just tell me why whack. If you have to tell me why whack, tell me why whack. Don't make me have to see a video because I don't. Just not how I consume information. So like it, good slide. Make the visual a bit richer by putting some. I'm going to earn 280 quid from KFC for 3 hours, but it just tells me that it's a payslip estimator, right? And it tells me where my rota is and what I have worked, and I can now add a shift and I can kind of see where my bills are going between paydays. Maybe there's an open banking API connection in there. So it is a good slide, but I think it could be even better, right? And then you kind of deep down into it. So this is great. Yeah. I probably would flick through this really quickly because it tells me so much, which is good, which is great. So this is a really good slide. I probably would put this actually earlier on, right? It just tells me what it is. Like this. Yeah, like this. Really change your lives. Right. Okay. I'm going to be a bit brutal on this, right? I don't give a toss as an investor what press you featured in because it doesn't, it's not hard. Right? Great. You've done some good PR. Great. A journo has covered you. Well, hey, as an investor, that means absolutely nothing to me because I know how these journos write. Apologies to all journalists on the call. It does not validate for me that there is a market need. Actually, even without numbers, you've done a pretty good job so far of validating that there is a market need. So you can kind of get away with it, but it just doesn't tell me things. So you tell me you're really changing lives, which is a good way of telling me you've got traction, right? You raised $1 million, 350,000, 5 times growth in 2023. Yeah, it's not bad, but what I really want to know, so just tell me now how much revenue you have, what your CAC to LTV is, because I can see you're doing lots of marketing, how much you're spending on marketing, something on unit economics. Give me some real numbers about how you have started to validate your hypothesis that presumably hourly shift workers and or the businesses that hourly shift work them or hourly employ them are paying you to use your platform. That's what I care about, really. I mean, normally, I would say that social impact thing on changing lives wouldn't really work. But actually, it does. I'll be honest, it works for me here. But the slide doesn't really tell me all that much about validation. You've got some good stuff in here, right? I want to know, though, your 335 installs, what your conversion rate to paid is. 5 times growth, I mean, growth from what, right? So you could have had 1 user and you now have, 5 times 5 users, right? So that doesn't really help. 35 million plus views on TikTok. Fine. Over what period? Is that over the last 5 years or over the last 6 months? That's important. Once you're downloads by word of mouth is great. Not huge numbers, but downloads and how many of them convert to real paid. So give me more detail on some of that, but it's not terrible, but just dump the featured in stuff because it means absolutely nothing. It's a vanity metric. The market, right. So, okay, yeah, you're doing what a lot of people do, and it's not. It doesn't tell me much. So again, the exam question you are trying to answer for me as an investor is: if I give you £1 million, how are you turning that into 10 million quid for me? And you do that by building a ground up market sizing and articulating how many customers you have, who they are, how much you'll charge them, how you'll get access to them, and how you will build this into a 30, 50, 70, 100 million revenue business in order for me to be able to give 10 million to my investors. That doesn't do that. So all you're telling me is UK SAM, don't know what your TAM is. It's top down, don't know where you're getting it from. Again, I think you might get away with this, George, in terms of, would I as an investor still not would I not take a call on the basis of this? I think I would just know from the number of Uber Eats and Deliveroos and drivers that I need to knock down in my car, who cycle crazily and kind of generally market awareness. Would I know that there are lots of people out there gigging? Yeah, probably. You might get away with it, but this is not a good market sizing. It doesn't tell me a great deal. There's a large global market, but again, just build it ground up. And I do have a pair VC brilliant article on this. So this doesn't tell me. So you've got paying subscribers and 20. That's brilliant. That should be on the right. That's should be on your traction slide, right? So that doesn't really do a lot for me. Competition. Again, what I get from this is there's loads of people doing this, right? And you can't really get away from it because I will Google it anyway. So that's fine. So you're telling me that people offering legal support. I didn't know you offered legal support. So I'm now surmising from here that you do legal support. You haven't told me about this before. Maybe there's some insurance products you could sell on the back of that, or legal insurance products. Don't know. Shitter attracts the people doing this stuff. Marketplace. Yeah, all this tells me, and again, it is a hard slide to do. I do have some ways of addressing it. I talk about in another video that I've done about how you address competition. So don't tell me you're first, because you're not. Guarantee you're not. And even if you are, I don't think you are. So just don't. It just gets my back up. Just don't do that. All inclusive. I presume the word inclusive here is meant to mean we're offering loads of benefits that other apps do. We're just kind of combining it. But the word inclusive kind of has a different meaning these days. It's about DEI, right? About inclusivity. So because my brain kind of goes elsewhere, that is kind of distracting. So I'm not sure I'd use that word. Like that you're built by passionate shift workers, deep inside the struggles, feature pipeline. Nobody cares about features. They shouldn't care about features. It's benefit. What are the benefits? Will further transform and create an offering that's truly life-changing and rival. Great, but you're still not answering how I'm going to return lots of money to my investors. So it's not a terrible slide. I probably would spend 2 seconds on it. It would just tell me there are lots of people doing this. So I don't know what your defensible moat is and why you're doing a thing that nobody else can do and why you have a superpower. Revenue opportunities. Yeah, but you're missing numbers. Give me numbers, right? Tell me how many freemium, how many B2Cs you're going to get, and the B2Bs you're going to get, the B2B2Cs you're going to get, and the B2B2Cs you're going to get, and the B2Bs you're going to get. Tell me the numbers. Tell me how you're going to get them. But don't do B2B and B2C at the same time, which you're kind of starting to address. You're saying about, I've done B2C, and we're doing B2B next, and you're currently working on B2B2C. So okay. So I'm not liking this. Well, let me start with what I am liking about this. I'm liking that there are lots of ways to make money. Definitely love that. But I'm not liking the fact that you're doing B2B and B2C and B2B2C at the same. They're different skills. They're different marketing muscles. They're different sales markets. They're different go-to-market strategies. They're different unit economics. And they're all hard. All of them are hard in and of themselves. Pick one. Smash one. You can say that. Well, you're saying there are lots of opportunities. We are doing this. this is our Trojan horse. This is our beachhead. We're doing this. So that's what I do here. What's next? 18 months. Okay. Fine. Yeah, good. Not a huge fan of roadmaps, but it kind of tells me a thing that you're thinking about. So that's okay. I'll probably spend a few seconds on this. And I kind of take away from this that you are, so is that now? So I don't know. Okay. So I probably would just kind of color this and say, this is now, right? So just say you are here or something. So you're raising 300,000. Again, tell me how much you're raising, tick. What you're going to spend it on, minor product enhancements, kind of tell me, tell me what you're probably going to spend on. That'll help. Never put runway. It's the wrong thing. Tell me what commercial milestones you are going to reach with this, right? Other things I'm going to kind of pick apart here. You're going to contact 5 agencies, 5 supermarkets. Yeah, it's commercial milestones. So this doesn't tell me. I probably would kind of give you a pass on this, and it wouldn't put me off, but it doesn't do a lot. Meet the team. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you're doing classic mistake here. I already addressed the fact that you about the founding. You've got a good story, right? That should be here. Tell me why. What have you done, George, in your history that allows me to think that you are going to be the person to drive this? You have some of that, right? You've lived this life. You've got the lived experience. Tell me that here. I want to know what Eden has done previously. Why is he the guy to do this? What is Tim Brooktom? What's he doing? Like on the day-to-day, you've got a chairman, he's got a board. Do I care? It doesn't really add a lot. Okay, he's from Monzo. That's cool, right? So what's he specifically going to do, right? Is he working the business day-to-day? Are you all full-time? Why are you the guys to do this? I am not getting from this. So it's in the right place, but it doesn't really have enough of the content. So just tell me, enterprise sales lead. So what has David Hunter done previously? Has he grown the business? Has he sold lots of stuff? Has he been an enterprise business? So you are selling to enterprises because you have an enterprise sales lead. So does that mean you're targeting enterprises like KFC and McDonald's who have really long sales cycles, and there's lots, contract value per them is going to be really high, but it'll take long to do. You might get into customer concentration issues. So this slide is not helping here, right? So I would pictures are fine, pictures humanize things. I would tell me why George is the right person to drive this, why Eden's the right person to do the marketing and PR, why Tim is the right person to chair. What's he going to do? Why is David the right person? What has he done? Advisors, okay, fine. Most of us don't really care about advisors, if I'm really honest. I think revenues, conservative revenues, of course they are. Year 1, year 2. Okay, I like the ambition, right? Not a lot of detail here, but at a high level, would this get me on the call? Yeah, because you've got ambition, so I like that, right? So 17 million in 3 years. It's ambitious, it's stretchy, it's bold. I like it. It's probably reaching sort of numbers there when that's how the growth curve. If you get there in the next call, I'd like to dig down into that. I was thinking as an investor, how you actually get there. Is it feasible? But you're ambitious and bold, and I can see. And you've done some good modeling because you got 700,000 subscribers. So good. I like that slide. Okay, fine. So that's my thought process. You, George, give you I'm going to 3 minutes to first of all accept my apology for hosting, but just to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, there's some things that I've heard over and over, which is obviously frustrating when you're sending the deck out. And obviously I've raised $1 million, so it has worked enough to get me that. I think the biggest thing that I want to question is raising as like a B2C business. Like I've been speaking to VCs now for like a year and a half, like getting ready for our raise in Q1. And I've basically found out that they don't just want B2C, so they want me to de-risk it. And to de-risk it, they want me to bring in B2B. So, when you say absolutely don't do it at the same time, it's like obviously difficult to understand when the only way I can really have those conversations is if I mention that I am looking into that opportunity of B2B. So like, why is that so different?
So great point. I think what you're really hearing without being inside your investor conversations is we don't like B2C because investors do not like B2C. All the time. I mean, literally, if I look at the number of people on a daily basis in my inbox who are asking me to help them run a raise campaign, which is my day job, so many B2C founders, and they're saying investors don't like B2C, and guess what? They don't, because B2C is really, really hard. B2C is a great way to spend a ton of money on acquisition activity on Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and everything else, and spend all of that money. And particularly when you do not have product market fit, spending money on acquisition channels to not scale the business because you don't have product market fit is really, really, really hard. So they don't like B2C. So I am surmising, and this is my hypothesis, that actually what they're really telling you is we don't like B2C, and probably you should be smashing this in B2B first, because we probably do see the opportunity, and I see the opportunity for for businesses to roll this out to their gig workers. And that, by the way, that's how you'd acquire that gig worker, because as they move from company A to company B to company C, they'll keep that app, right? And that's actually a way to acquire that customer. But I don't think investors, well, I know investors really dislike B2C really early on where you are. When you raised $1 million, different world, I'm talking about September 2024, that's why you spent a year doing this. So I think that's the issue. So you've got an issue of doing B2B and B2C at the same time, which investors don't like, and you're doing B2C, which investors don't like.
B2C businesses then, because from what you've just said, it sounds like you should just do B2B, which I have found product market fit. And the reason I'm doing B2B is because we found the data of where people are working, so that we know how to then leverage it and then approach B2B. So the model, it doesn't work the other way for us. So
I think you've answered your own question. So I would, if I was doing this, I'd be like, screw B2C, dump it, focus. That's what I would do. Because you've just told me I've got product market fit in B2B.
In B2C.
I'm sorry?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it said B2B.
Then we're going to shut down.
Investors don't like B2C. Investors don't like B2C. It's hard. And I'm hoping, and I want you to tell me this, that as we speak, you have investors on this call, because I know there are a bunch of investors on this call, and a bunch of investors have asked to come on the next deck rows, who are looking up your LinkedIn and are saying, ignore what David Levine is saying, we love B2C, right? I'm hoping that's the case. It is really hard. It is hard.
No, I do get it. That's obviously my thinking around looking at those additional revenues and why we're looking at adding on the B2B. So, but no, I appreciate it. Maybe I need to add in some more data on like the conversion rates, retention rates, churn rates, the stuff to show that we have got that product market fit on the B2C side.
And if B2C is your thing, just do B2C. Don't do B2B the same. Like, that's the other problem. You're doing B2B and B2C. It's different skills. It's different muscles. It's different experiences, different go-to-markets, different marketing strategy, different unit economics. And you've got enough to do in running this business, right? And you've done a great job in raising money so far. And I'd also ask in my head, have you done enough with it? Raising £1 million. Have you done enough? Don't know. You can explain that in the call. But would I get on a call with you? I think I probably would get on the call with you unless I was in a really bad mood and looking for reasons. And investors are often looking for reasons to say no because the deal flow is immense. So I would get on the call with you, I think. But I think there's a lot of questions and still quite a lot of times open, a lot of things that are open there. Okay. Thanks, George. So, like the visuals, nice and clear. Is this okay? So, yeah. So, I guess the first thing, visuals, and this is just my brain. Maybe it's just the way I have the deck kind of set up to I'm looking at it, but it's kind of like, is this blue one? Is that slide 1? And is the problem slide 2? It's just kind of coming across. I don't know if it's the way I've set it up, but most slides they'll just fill a one landscape slide. So anyway, maybe a minor thing, but just a bit distracting. So a mission statement, I'm not a fan of mission statements, right? Because not something how you make money and how I return my money to my LPs, to my investors. To lead your chosen market, it's not quite doing it for me, right? So my brain is really filling a lot of gaps here. So I would say that GGM 360 is a platform for the housing sector, for residents and housing associations in the housing sector. Is it the social housing sector? I don't know. That does a thing. I don't know what you do really. So slide one, just be a lot clearer, a lot sharper on what it is you actually do, because I don't know what you do. I kind of do, but my brain is making lots of stuff. And once my brain, the problem about a squirrel brain like mine, making lots of assumptions, is I'm being emotionally anchored into those assumptions. And you're going to have to work to move me off those assumptions throughout the deck. And okay, you're not here. You're not in front of me. I can see your smiley face and you are in front of me now. But when I'm opening up my email as an investor and I'm going through this, you're not in front of me. So you're going to struggle with, you won't be able to challenge my assumptions because I'm not here. That's my problem. So just don't let me do my work. Don't let me make assumptions, because I will make the wrong assumptions. Okay, it's the problem. So the UK I like the slide. So I like this slide. I know what the problem is, the sector you're in. You've got outdated building materials, unsafe appliances, inefficient centralized tender procurement processes. This leads to substantial repair delays, repair costs. Like it. Problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, smashed it. I am thinking, this is a big problem. You've nailed it. Granular data. Yeah, great, brilliant, like it. The solution, right? So what am I seeing? How am I emotionally reacting to this? My eyes are immediately going to features and benefits. So you tell me what the features are. Probably don't really care, but I like the benefits, right? Work from anywhere. Unified platform allowing full. So I would probably identify who's who, right? So benefit, identify problems within your property portfolio and previous makers. So that's obviously not a residence, is it? That's a social housing association or a landlord. So maybe rather than benefit or features on, or maybe I might have a third column for who. But okay, but I like this. So I'm getting features, I'm getting benefits, I'm getting what you're doing, I'm liking this. I'm hating the word propose. This is not an academic paper. You're not proposing a thing. Propose tells me immediately you don't even have an MVP. You're not even at an MVP. You have a hypothesis. It's a nice hypothesis, and it's grounded in really good market understanding, but it's a hypothesis, and I don't even think you have an MVP. And I hate the word disruptive. Of course it's disruptive, but that's just a marketing nonsense term in this context. Decentralizes the tendering and procurement process, matching, right? So the rest of that paragraph is really good. It's really smart. It's sharp. It's on the money. But I'm hating the word propose, because I'm now assuming my working assumption from here on in is you have an idea on paper, and you're not playing on paper. You're playing on grass. You don't have an MVP. So don't do that. How it works. It's bland. Doesn't mean you told me this. Really, I'm a fairly intelligent investor. I don't need to suck eggs. You told me, right, that it matches maintenance jobs. Right, I get that this is a two-sided marketplace. Get it, understand it. You don't need to. So just dump this slide, because you're aiming for. You got 13 slides, which is a bit too much. You're aiming to be ruthless and dump slides wherever possible. So yeah, dump the slide. I'm sorry, act like I don't like this. Right? Achievements. You're featured in a housing digital prop tech. No investor values these things, right? Because it's a journo's job is to stick. Here's a great example. Bit embarrassing, and to the 200 people on this call, what happens on this call stays on this call. I was once put on a top 100 influencers in Manchester above Wayne Rooney, right? What a load of absolute tosh and nonsense. It was a journalist, a board journalist who's just filling crap, right? That's what these are. And even if there are some, of course there are some that are properly good and do a good job, but there's so much crap out there that the good stuff is coloured by the crap. So that's not an achievement. And you're trying to do housing exhibition, a top innovation, but you're only making a proposal, letter recommendations, support for the platform, but they're not signing a check. So that doesn't validate your hypothesis. Liverpool University support provided. Why is that an achievement? So no, this is not a great slide. What I'm looking for here, what you should be telling me here is, how are you validating, what have you done to validate your hypothesis that the market needs a platform, right, that matches maintenance jobs with local tradespersons, has expertise, leverages machine algorithms to analyze the housing stock data and predict maintenance needs and optimize costs. That's your hypothesis. Great hypothesis. You've done a good job on understanding the market and communicating to me the granularity of your understanding of the market. Brilliant. But this is where you should say, here's our traction that we have validated, and none of these things do that at all. Dump. Market adoption. The sector is driving for it. Launched. Okay, so this is the why now, right? So I think this paragraph is good, right? So why now tells me why now is a good time for you to be doing this. So fine. You're doing a trial. So if you're doing a trial, you're not just an MVP. But you told me that you're proposing something. So do you see how my squirrel brain is kind of going back and forth, and I've made an assumption and I'm now emotionally anchored because you used the word proposes. So I'm emotionally anchored in the fact you don't have an MVP, and now you're telling me that you have a trial. So this is great that you have a trial. Tell me what the trial is, a bit more detail, but so this is how my brain is working, right? No, that does nothing for me. That doesn't do anything because they've not given you a check yet. This is good because this is the why now, and this is your validation, right? This is a trial, so we're in the middle of validating this because we have a trial with Liberty Gas Group. Why isn't that more front and center? Dump the housing digital bit, dump the testimonial use case bit, and this is good. Market, yeah, liking this. So this is a ground up, well thought through, granular-ish, data-based market sizing, but the UK only. I don't know whether you can build a big enough business for venture scale in the UK. I think super niche angels who really go deep and target and focus on this, might like this. But I don't know, and you should be telling me if you think this is a venture scale, a power law type business. You should be telling me why that is in fact the case. But it's a good slide in the level of granularity, but you're still not doing the thing I want you to be doing, which is telling me how big your business is going to get, right? Because look at this, right? The UK property management software, right? That's not you, because that covers lots of things, right? From, I don't know, gas records certification businesses, possibly, or insulation planning software. That's not your market, right? Your market is specifically what you're doing. And also a TAM of 570 million isn't that big, right? On a global basis, maybe for the UK, but don't tell me about the UK. Tell me about your global ambitions, right? Every investor wants to hear about how you're going to build a globally really big company, but it's okay to start in the UK, but it has to be global. So tell me about the global market, the market you are in, not the market, the size of the business you can build within a market, not the size of the market you're operating in. So it's a good slide, lots of work here, but the fundamental exam question you are answering is, how big can this business get? And if I give you £1 million, how can I return that? Okay. Competition, if you've been on the rest of the call, you'll hear it's such a hard thing to get right. You've not done a bad job, I suppose. It's a little bit different than what I've seen before, not massively. You've not told me what your defensible moat is, why you're different, why you compete against, because Plantific are big, right? You're also not mentioning Keys. I happen to know that Keys are a really big player within the social housing market. And there are several other people that I'm personally aware of that are doing this. So with it comes to, so do you mean that your competition have low management fees or you have low management fees? And even if it's you, please tell me that your defensible moat is not based on pricing. because that's the worst. That's a race to the bottom. That's a commodity. That is not defensible. So please don't tell me that you have a defensible moat. Maybe your defensible moat is your technology. Maybe you have a superpower or something that's unfair about you, unfair access to your target market. You trend analysis to identify failures for So I presume you're trying to tell me about your defensible moat. And I'm thinking, well, what you're doing is good. I'm liking what you're doing, but if I have super smart devs in this space, I reckon I can also build out a trend analysis if I have the data, or supply integrated parts order offering. So it's not really defensible. It doesn't mean it's bad, because it's not about the idea. It's about the execution. But this doesn't really do a lot for me. This just tells me, so this is telling me that there are a few people in the market, but I'm telling you that there are others, right? And don't hide them, because there are others. So yeah, not that strong. Revenue model, I'm liking the number. Just my eye is just immediately going to these numbers, right? So I'm liking it. I'm liking the fact that you have done really extensive, granular work into this. I'm liking it. I'm liking that. Fine. You've got a hypothesis, right? You have a hypothesis about what your revenue model is going to be. You'll iterate and you'll pivot and you'll learn and you'll evolve as you go ahead. So, but this is a good slide. Okay, I'm happy with that. Team, pretty pictures, and so you just give me a bit more detail. It's not bad. Give me more detail what your experience is, like with named logos, people you work with, companies you work with. As I said, nobody gives a toss. Your investors do not give a toss about that particular thing. Again, give me a bit more detail. This is good. I'm liking this. I don't know what on earth this means. So this has me concerned, because are you building something? You've got an internal dev, so you're not outsourcing. I don't know what this tells me, if I'm honest with you. I don't know what they're actually doing. So kill that, or make it really clear and make sure it's valuable. Give me a bit more detail, but not bad. So the ask, we're raising 500k, great, big tick. Don't know what you're using it for, right? So tell me what the ask is, great. You're not telling me what you're using it for. You are kind of not really, you're telling me where you will be when that money is spent. Yeah. Gosh, unpick this. Don't like this, because it's exit modeling for a super early business. So I still think, I think that you've got an MVP, but you've got a trial. So is the trial, see how Squirrel Brain is working here? Is trial, are you building out? Are you co-creating with the trial? Don't know. Not so sure about this. So don't do that. But you're not telling me what you're spending on, nor where you're going to be. So we're raising 500k to onboard 6 social housing associations and 2,000 tenants, and to build a business to 600k ARR or something. That's what I want to find out here. I don't like. You're fine. Don't like this. Of course you are. Right? That's not a feature. Of course you're offering. It doesn't matter what you offer. It's what an investor will give you. Right? It's like, we're offering you oxygen to breathe. So just no, that's just, I think that shows a bit of naivety. I think my brain, maybe I'm being a bit grumpy as an investor, and I'm really trying to show you the raw emotion here. I think I'm being a bit grumpy as an investor, but I think this would get my back up, or just make me think you're a bit naive and you're teaching me to suck eggs. Don't do that, right? And it's the same with, okay, fine. You want to do that? That's. I probably wouldn't do that. I might just put people a bit off. I don't think I'd do that, because you should be figuring out before you even reaching out to an investor that they meet that they do 50,000 tickets, 50k tickets. Yeah. So work to be done there. So would I get on a call with you, Akhlaq? I actually don't know. I like the deck, so you appeal to my aesthetics, and I love the granularity in some of the stuff. So for that reason, I probably will get on a call with you, because of the granularity. But if I've got a lot on, if I'm trying to get 3 deals past IC, and I've got lots of things to do, and I'm on 16 boards, and my inbox and my deal flow is really big, and I've got stuff to other do, and I'm looking for reasons not to get on a call with you. Comments I think you've given me enough reasons. I've unmuted you to not get on a call with you. Sorry. So
no, don't need to apologize, because I think some of the feedback that we've got from you is taking it in, and I'm in agreement with you, because this is probably the first time we've had someone look at our deck, and before we've sent it out to anyone. So I think for us, and this is the first time we are doing it, so it's good, and I think there's a lot of takeaway points for us in terms of what you've said. So around like making it clear on the investment side, making it clear on the what. So it's been really valuable, and I think all your points, I'm in agreement with you that we need to change, because as you've been going through it and I've been listening to someone else looking at it from a different perspective, it's made me realize actually I need to do some other bits to it.
Great. So look, that's exactly what I wanted this to be about, right? Which is, and I'm going to use this to kind of summarize and to kind of close this down, right? Which is, I wanted to show everybody today, and you third of three, Akhlaq, last but definitely not least, how an investor thinks in a really raw. That's why I was thinking out loud. That's what I was trying to do. I was thinking out loud. I was showing you how lack of structure or wrong structure kind of has squirrel brain going from one place to the next. And I was showing you how I'm making assumptions because of something you told me. I'm telling you about things I'm telling you stuff in a really raw, probably I'm being a bit nicer than actually most people are thinking, because, you know, I just like to be. But I'm trying to be raw, and I think I've been raw about how that's all doing, right? So I'm glad for you, Akhlaq, and the other two guys. This has been really, really valuable. Let me summarize. I'm gonna drop you out, Akhlaq, if that's okay. I'm gonna summarize very quickly what I've been trying to do today, right? I got a ton of people. There were almost 200 people who applied to join the webinar, and there were a whole ton of decks that people submitted, which is really quite flattering, guys, that you trust me with this stuff. There are some really great decks in there, and there are some utterly shocking ones in there, and there were some ones in between, right? And the things that I saw, you've got to say what it is that you are doing and the benefit, why your customers care, on slide number 1, the very, very first slide. Because an investor, I'm busy and I have an inflated sense of my own importance. I'm a bit arrogant, and I've got tons of things on today, deal flow and meetings, and I'm worried about my carry and all sorts of stuff, right? To the point, you have seconds to get my attention. Slide 1, say what it is you're doing. Make sure your market is big enough. Build that up from the ground up in such a way that I can understand it, and that you're teaching me what the market's like, and I'm not filling in the gaps in my head, and I'm not doing your job for you, and you're making my job easier. And it's big enough that I've got a sense that if I give you £1 million, it'll turn out into 10 million. To build that from the ground up. Articulate the ask. Tell me how much it is you are raising, what you are going to use that money for in some detail, and give me the commercial milestone that you are going to be hitting with this raise. Don't tell me about runway, because that just means you're looking, or feels like you're looking for you're looking for a cushion, right? But it doesn't tell me your commercial milestone. And finally, it sounds obvious, guys, but of the however many decks, I can't remember now, people submitted, I had over a dozen, I think, where I had to go and, people shared the deck link with me, whether it was Google Sheets or Papermill or Dropbox or various, and I had to click on a button to ask for permission or request access, and that came back either straight away or hours later, by which point I've moved on. I've emotionally moved on, and I've been looking for a reason to say no or to ignore you, and you just give it to me. Or with the best intentions, I wanted to look at it, but by the time you said yes, because you're busy, I've moved on. So if you are sharing a deck, don't let me ask for access. It's fine if it's a deck link or a Dropbox or a doc send where I have to put my email address, but make it immediate. So everybody, thank you so much. Really, thank you so much for joining in with this crazy experiment today. I really hope it's been valuable. I'd love to hear either on LinkedIn, direct in DMs. A lot of what I've covered today, I cover in my course. I put together a course that I call Raise Like a Pro by a Pro. I run that on accelerator programs. Learn.glenluna.com. I'll put this on the link on LinkedIn soon. Learn.glenluna.com is where I'm selling my course, and it contains a lot of this information. Just allows me to kind of do what I do for the very small companies I run to help you guys at scale. So thank you so much once again, everybody. It's been emotional. Thank you.